Hello, I'm Eric Feldsted. My topic brief is on the handling of public funds in high school athletic programs. I'm going to discuss some of the cases in the recent past of the misuse or misappropriation of funds, particularly in the state of Utah, and how that has affected the policies and laws that have been put in place because of the misuse of funds. The online legal dictionary defines misappropriation as the intentional illegal use of the property or funds of another person for one's own use or other unauthorized purpose, particularly by a public official or by any person with a responsibility to care for and protect another's assets. As administrators and coaches, our job in dealing with finances is to protect other people's assets and to protect the money that they donate and the money that they put into the particular programs. Therefore, any misuse of those funds is illegal. Booster clubs are organizations that are set up to provide financial support to school athletic programs. Booster clubs are set up either by individual sports, having a separate booster club from the school, or, as in the case with Cedar High School, where the booster club is a Cedar High School booster club, and therefore the money is accounted for by the administration. The money given to the booster club of each individual sport is private funds that are managed and controlled by the booster club itself, and funds are then distributed as the club presidency sees fit. In Iron County, the school has a booster club which distributes the funds to the individual sports after all funds are collected. No individual sport is allowed a booster club to raise money individually. These funds, once obtained by the booster club and put into a sports account in the school, are now considered public funds and are then under the jurisdiction of the principal to determine how they are to be utilized. An incident occurred in Tennessee where a booster club was paying an athletic director and assistant coaches in two sports directly from the booster club without properly accounting for the funds for tax purposes. The booster club was reprimanded and the school received sanctions for this misuse. After an interview with Rusty Taylor, the principal at Desert Hills High School, he stated that their booster club paid assistant coaches, but that money went into the school to go through payroll to the district, and therefore proper taxation records were kept through these processes. A major financial issue that administrators and coaches deal with is fundraising. Fundraising procedures are different from district to district. Most of the districts, according to interviews conducted with various school officials, have a policy in place that limits the amount of fundraisers the program can do to one or two large fundraisers, with other small fundraisers which provide services being allowed, such as the selling of merchandise. Some issues that have caused schools to change how fundraised money is handled. At Salem Hills High School, the baseball coach does not handle any money whatsoever. All money gathered from fundraisers and selling of merchandise comes directly to the financial office of the school. At Cedar High School, only coaches are allowed to handle money that comes in from the selling of merchandise because of thefts that have occurred from handling of fundraised money. Some of the major misappropriation incidences in the state deal with money raised from fundraisers. The problem with money raised through these activities is that some coaches feel that the money belongs to them and their program, when in reality the money obtained through fundraising, once it is in the hands of the coach as a public official, is now public funds. The football coach at Timpview High School mixed funds from two different accounts, his football account and driver's education accounts, and used those funds inappropriately. Some of the money fundraised for was not deposited into an account and therefore never truly accounted for. A basketball coach at Bingham High School had an outside account uncontrolled by administration for a club basketball team. Funds raised by the high school basketball players for Bingham High School were placed into private accounts. Once the coach obtained the money, it then became public funds but were placed into a private account and therefore violated policy and was considered misused. The Lone Peak baseball coach in 2012 was found to have raised funds in excess of $200,000 over several years that were never deposited into school accounts and were unaccounted for. Now, in any of these cases, the coaches could have been acting in good faith as far as using the money only for their programs. But the accounting of the funds was improper, and no receipts could be obtained showing what they were purchasing and why. In all three instances, these coaches lost their jobs. Donations are handled differently from district to district and can even vary from school to school within a district. Most of the school's officials that I interviewed allowed donations to be made to specific programs within the school from private donors. Others handled all donations to the school and distribute them where they would like to be placed. In 2012, the Granger School District made a new rule that any individual that donated more than $499 to a program was then ineligible to coach for that program. This policy was put into place in order to protect the programs from undue influence from donors that are coaching. Some people feel that they can pay the program and they will then be able to make some important decisions on who plays and who gets to do what. Some instances cited in the district's decision were donors to a play wanted to determine who would be the lead in that play. This undue influence is exactly why the head baseball coach at Salem Hills High School, who won the 4A state baseball championship thus last spring, does not accept private donations to his program in order to dismiss any improper influence on his decision-making on who plays and who doesn't. This is precisely the reason that Granger School District implemented this rule. Unfortunately for Cottonwood High School, they lost one of their assistant football coaches who had donated up to $4 million over the last 15 years to improve the program. Due to an incident with Lone Peak High School's football coach entering into a contract with a vendor for merchandise, procurement laws are being emphasized throughout the state. According to State Rule R850-11, any item or group of items over the cost of $20,000 must have written bids from different vendors. Allowing contracts such as those agreed to by the Lone Peak coach violates this procurement code. So what is being done? What are the state and schools doing to protect public funds as well as protect their employees? There have been a few new rules and regulations established by the state to reduce the misuse of funds and ensure the proper procedures are followed for procurement, for fundraising, and handling of public funds. One of the major rules that is being established and enforced is R277-107-6, which states that it is a felony for any school official to receive emolument, which an emolument, as defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is the returns arising from office or employment, usually in the form of compensation or perquisites, which basically means any gift that is obtained for services and goods. So the perks that one receives from their public position as far as freebies or merchandise from vendors in excess of $10 is considered by Utah law to be a felony. This is to protect the procurement policy and make it fair for all vendors to sell their products to schools. Also, State Administrative Code R277-113, which took effect on June 1st of this year, sets forth definitions that clarify the policies on how administrators and coaches are to handle public funds in a more transparent way to protect both from misusing the public funds. So in conclusion, proper safeguards have to be established, and they have begun. The state and school districts have begun to put proper safeguards in place to protect the public funds. Knowledge and training has to be done for the coaches, for the administrators, so that they know and understand the rules and especially new policies and procedures that are put in place. And then following the knowledge and training, the administrators and coaches alike have to be vigilant in making sure that those procedures are followed to protect the funds, to protect themselves, as well as to protect the money that is placed in their hands and in their care.